So the waiting was very hard on us. This is probably not a new story to anyone sitting here. And because she was blind, she didn't respond readily to us. She didn't look up to me as Charlotte had or break out in a body-wiggling smile. But here's the thing. She was actually the same child before and after we took her to the physicians and heard these dire words. She didn't change, we did. If she had been able to give you her bio from this period of time and describe her earliest days, she might have said something like, "There I was, thrust into the world and into the arms of my adoring parents. I nursed lustily and often. I slept soundly. I owned hundreds of toys that whistled and squeaked. Rough toys, smooth toys, soft and hard ones. Everyone loved me." Rachel hadn't been devastated by the diagnosis. That doctor's words didn't hurt or change her. What changed was our perception of her. So at this point, in a way, the problems were ours, not hers. I didn't know that at the time, of course. I couldn't have said that we were the ones who had to struggle, first to accept the diagnosis, and second to wait for indications of just who she would be. And for me, for us, it took a long time. Probably for me, the waiting was worse. The blindness I came to terms with much, much more quickly because I felt like, well, we'll do this, this, she can do this, she can do. But not knowing the other pieces, the intellectual impairment, that was much harder. How intellectually impaired? What did it mean? And that I couldn't picture. But at some point for all of this, we did accommodate to Rachel. And this is a little quote from, actually from Rachel in the World. "Despite all the tears and gut-wrenching comparisons with children her age, we had begun to accommodate her to her. Without a word of discussion, we had begun to accept that there would be no miracles, medical or otherwise. What I had feared most had come to pass. She was intellectually impaired, though I would not know the extent or full meaning of that for years, and she did have a seizure disorder. She was also cheerful and responsive and continued to make better use of her vision than anyone had expected." If you ask me now when that happened, I can only say that it happened over time without us being aware of it. If you ask me why it happened, I could say, well, she was really beautiful. She had ringlets and creamy skin and long eyelashes and Cupid's lips. She was the kind of baby strangers wanted to hold. I could say that I accommodated after I mourned the death of the normal child that she would never be, for isn't it the case that even if we think we have absolutely no hidden agenda for our children and no blueprint whatsoever for their lives, when a less than perfect child is born, you find out how wrong you were. We all have dreams. Sometimes they're very simple. You expect your child to be loved. You expect your child will have friends. You expect your child to go to college or have a life that in some way resembles yours. Little by little, as some of those dreams were put aside, I started to find new ones. And that, it turns out, is the start of accommodation. I could say also that I was helped by the caregivers who helped take care of Rachel. Young women, and they were all young women, who were delighted by her. They nurtured her and played with her without a speck of sadness. One of them was a young woman, she was a teenager at the time, named Lori, and she came into our house when Rachel was still an infant. We lost contact with her when we moved from New Jersey to Pittsburgh, and I looked for her and I thought about her all the time. I never could find her, and then just a short time ago, after 18 years of not hearing from her, I got an email and the subject line said, "My life was blessed by loving Rachel." And the little message said, "My youngest daughter is adopted, and during the adoption process, I thought of Rachel often. They asked me if I was sure I could love a child I did not give birth to, and without hesitation I said yes. Thank you for sharing your baby with me."